spiritual cardioversion. Allah can literally take a dead spiritual heart, and I'm saying literally, and bring it back to life. And there's a beautiful, one of the most extraordinary hadiths, in my estimation, is a hadith of Ubay ibn Ka'b, when he actually had momentary doubt. This is called a khatir. So he's not doubting, because he was a believer. But he actually heard some people, and this is in Imam al-Bukhari's collection of the Sahih. He heard some people reciting the Quran, and it was different from the way the Prophet ﷺ had taught him. And he's one of the great Quran reciters, Ubay ibn Ka'b. So he hears it, and then he hears another one, and it's different. And he said, where did you get that reading from? They said, the Prophet ﷺ taught us. So he takes them to the Prophet, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, these men are reading the Quran different from the way you taught me. And so the Prophet ﷺ said, Iqra, and he told them. And they recited, and he said, that's the way I taught them. Like it came down like that. And then Ubay ibn Ka'b, when he said that, he had this, he said it came to him some doubt in his heart. And it's very clear in the commentaries that this is not doubt of Iman. It was like a khatir that came into his heart. It was from Iblis. It was waswasa. And this is very important. There's a very important distinction between waswasa and between your own inner, what's called hadithun nafs. Hadithun nafs and waswasa are two different things. So you can have thoughts that are very foul, that are horrible, that you don't like. These, you should see them, and I mentioned this earlier, Dr. Cleary talked about the uninvited guest and the host. You have to distinguish between the thoughts that are uninvited into your heart. They just come in as uninvited guests, and you have to dispel them. And so he had this, and then he said the Prophet saw what had come over him, like some kind of a spiritual state, and he struck him in his chest, and he said it was as if I saw God before me in complete awe.
There's axiomatic truths in the world, like something cannot be and not be at the same time.
And it's extraordinary hadith. Like he suddenly had like an enlightenment.
So there's the skeptic,
and he's one of the most important people for transmitting the Quran.
Then there's the other
but the Prophet did a type of, like a type of cardioversion, a spiritual cardioversion on him, which is quite stunning. The Prophet ﷺ also, a man once came to him complaining about his heart, and the Prophet put his hand on his heart, and he said, Innaka maf'ud, you have some heart trouble. And he said, go to Harith ibn Kalada, who was the great Yemeni physician who'd studied in Jundashapur in Iran with the traditional, he studied in the medical school in Persia. So he was one of the few Arab doctors. So the Prophet, I think, was like he was doing like an echocardiogram with his hand, and then referred him to the specialist. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
That it created itself.
In any case,
remember, this is
make the Quran the spring of my heart. It's such a beautiful dua. Bring my heart to life with this book. وَنُورَ صَدْرِ, and make it the light of my breast, of my chest. Make it the light of my chest. أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ لَكَ صَدْرَكَ. That there's an inshirah. And nur, as you know, spreads out. So make it this radiating light within my breast. وَجِلَاءَ حُزْنِي. There's also a riwayah, جَلَاءَ حُزْنِي. And the difference between the two is subtle, but it essentially has the same meaning. If it has a fatha, جَلَاءَ حُزْنِي, then it's kashif. It's to yakshif, to uncover. If it's jila huzni, then it's the mudhib, it's the dhahab, it's to make it go. So one is to uncover, the other is to make it go. So they essentially have the same meaning. So that you'll see that both related. Jila huzni wa jala huzni wa dhahab hammi, and the removal of my anxiety. And hum is very interesting because the Prophet ﷺ said
that we treat them like people of the book. So that's his taxonomy. And so
we believe
that
that
we will be judged according to our actions.
stress, and this is what I really think this word, if we translated it today, would be stress. That's the word we use.
And we believe, inshallah,
Hum is whatever's preoccupying you. It's what's really troubling your mind.
Accrue our actions, and that we earn
it's
them.
what you're
called
thinking
kism,
about. It's what's
according to the
occupying your thoughts. And when
majority
people
of
are stressed
theologians.
out,
Some of the
then they have
theologians,
humum.
they're more heterodox.
So the hum
actually believe
is
that
the
God,
Prophet ﷺ said,
they look at God as more
nusf
deistic,
al-haram.
that God kind of,
Stress
the
is half of
Mu'tazilites believe
aging.
that He created us
And you
gave
can see
us
people when they go
power
through very
that enabled us to
stressful
do
situations,
our own, so we
you
actually
can see
created
them
our own
within 1 year.
actions.
It's as if they've aged
The
10
other
years.
opinion,
Many
which is
people
the
have seen this
Ash'ari
and
and the
experienced
Salafi
this.
position,
People's
and they
hair
differ
turns
on
gray,
it also.
they go bald,
They're closer
just from
than the
so
Mu'tazilites,
much
which is
stress.
that God,
So stress really can age people. And that's the releasing. I mean, we know all now about free radicals and all these things, but the Prophet ﷺ was really a stress-free individual because he had complete trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and because this dua, which he recited often, was answered, obviously. So the Quran would remove his hum.
The position of the Athari school, which Ibn Taymiyyah and others followed, is that you're doing the action, but Allah is the one that has enabled you. But it's actually your action. So the result is the same, and that's why these are really, the differences to me they're problematic, because the view of the two is the same, that you earn your actions. It's whether or not it's a direct, immediate creation. It's a new creation, and that's where the Ash'aris differ from the Athari. But we believe that we have free will, and that people are responsible, and that they will be judged. And in the end, only Allah can judge people, because there's too many variables. If you look at human history, the vast majority of people, if you look in this country, for instance, people didn't know anything about Islam for a very long time, and now all they know is a distorted version of Islam. So we can't judge people. Like, if you want to say they're kuffar, that's fine, they can have the hukm of kufr, but the kafir is somebody who knows the truth and rejects it. And Imam al-Ghazali was of the view, anyone who's actively searching for the truth is searching, it will be saved, even if they die before getting it. And he says that very clearly in Faisal al-Tafriqah. And he's as orthodox as you can get according to the dominant view. So it's a very difficult one, but you have to believe that you are responsible for your actions. Do not blame things on God. But once things have happened, the best thing to do is accept it, that's the qadar. And this relieves you of the burden of like, oh my God, if I only did this or if I only did that. Nothing else could have happened. Once it's happened. But before it's happened, you have to see yourself as fully responsible. Once it's happened, you're responsible if you did something wrong, and hopefully if you did something right, you also get the reward for that. But you have to see it as nothing else could have happened. So it's like having bifocals. You can't look at this thing without seeing it at these two levels. Allahu ta'ala alam.
Jazakallah khair.